Wha-dho is about putting you back in the driver's seat. It's a conversation of power. It's a no bullshit spirituality. Because I tell you what, it's just so tough and it's so sad living somebody else's dream, somebody else's vision, or your future that you want to live tomorrow. How about living it today? It's really good being ADD. It's really good having absolutely no patience because you get to truth faster. Those are not bad things. Those are not bad things at all. It's just, you know, Native Americans, we have a medicine shield. Why do I say we? Okay, that's one of my 5 personas. So with a medicine wheel, right? Like a shield. My medicine shield actually depicts all my characteristics. So I honor that I'm ADD, I'm hyperactive, I got 0 patience, because that's my medicine. My totem is the red-tailed hawk. Everybody's looking at the red-tailed hawk, because there's food where he goes, right? And the other birds follow. But so you have to honor yourself. But what do you honor if you don't know what it is? Right? No clue, lost. So my invitation is, spend time doing that. Spend time going to silence. Right? There is absolutely no way to get to enlightenment without silence. You cannot read it in a book. You cannot go to a teacher. I can't bless you and say, oh, you're enlightened. If anybody says they can, making a sale. No, seriously. And guess what? There's value in that. I used to knock Deepak Chopra, and I want to be his big friend. Because I shifted and I learned to be compassionate and I learned to watch. Those guys have a job. And everybody has their place in the sun. And everybody's important because I started meeting people that shifted because they went to the churches, they went to the temples, they read the books, they got the blessings. But that's just the first phase in the journey. The ultimate journey is for you to find your own truth. And that's the journey I choose to work with. Right? When I take a client and I do accept clients, I'm very careful who I accept as a student. Right? Because I just don't have the patience. I'm not in a game of collecting students, if you would. I'm in the game of changing hearts. Right? So going back to my invitation is that find your silence, find your peace, find your joy. Yours. And then go party like a rock star. Because then you can take it with you. Because once you find it, right, you have it, nothing can take it out. People would say, Paul, smoking is bad, drinking is worse, you can't heal because you get all these spots in your aura. I'm like, oh, really? I just healed somebody totally drunk out of my mind. Because the fundamental law is that energy follows thought. And if I could hold a clear thought, the energy would follow. And if my heart was pure, energy is pure. Right? So it's like that. It's reality is metaphysics. It's not physics. That's real. Right? There's some energy follows thought, some of the general rules, right? The Japanese say words have soul. The sound doesn't have a soul. Your intention of what you mean with the word, so energy follows thought. When you say I hate you, it's connect with the feeling, and that feeling you put in the sound that comes out with hate. With another language says it has a different sound, but the same intention. That's why that word has power. So watch what you say, watch what you think. If first it's a thought, then it's a word, then it's an action. You can't take any of them back, because that moment is gone. So we have to learn the discipline of how to change, discipline to learn to speak, learn to think. And that's why silence is so important. You can learn to think the right thoughts. Right? Okay, questions? I hate talking too much. Yeah?
How does wha-dho address fear, dispelling fear, so you can address forward?
First, thank you for saying wha-dho. Okay. A lot of people say wha-dho. I believe, and hence the wha-dho philosophy, that fear is a choice. It's the first step you take in narcissism to feel something. Right? It doesn't exist, but you can choose to take it off the shelf and say, I want this. It feels good. Because what happens is when you choose fear, what increases is personal significance. You separate yourself from everything else, and then you feel it, and you take comfort in that. So it's an illusion. It's a choice. It doesn't exist, but you have to engage the ego mind to create it or anchor in it or accept it or take it in and bring it in. The absence of which is real, just love. But it's a very addictive energy. I love it every now and then. It gives excuses, you don't have to do anything, you know, you can wallow in your own. I'm getting good. Right. So, but look at it that way. It's just a choice. Now, you're walking out of the woods, and in English we call it the sixth sense, warns you that there's something dangerous, and you interpret that as fear. That happened to me. We were out in Gilligan's Island, Guanica in Puerto Rico, swimming in the mangroves. There's a little channel, deep enough for a shark to be there. Swimming, diving down, picking up a conch shell, this thing coming out, and live, put it back, picked up a starfish, put it back. I love to dive and swim, entertaining my little nephews. And I felt fear, like, gotta go. Jump back in the boat. I have no idea what it is, but when the sixth sense kicked in, I interpreted it as fear. Yes. But I use that word here as fear, which most people might, but I didn't use fear. It wasn't fear that I had. It was like, I don't like what I'm feeling. There's something here that I can't. That I could feel the entity that I didn't know what it was.
Right.
It was very big. Yeah, it was very big, and I was like, jump, because I had two boys with me, a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. Right. Now, most people will feel spirit speaking, the collective conscious speaking, but they won't interpret it, and they might use the word fear. But that wasn't the fear you were talking about.
Fight or flight now, more emotional.
Yeah. Now, I do believe, and that's why our last retreat was out in the desert. You know, we're so inundated in this kind of an environment because it's required for life today, that we lose the sensitivities of being the animal-human part of the planet. And wha-dho really suggests you take the time to reconnect back with nature in a natural way. Right? So the less gear you have and repelling, and you know, a lot of people go to nature and they get into doing something, and that's doing something that's not really connecting back with nature. I mean, they might really get moved by a sunset, which is fine, I think all that is good, but what I like to refer to is people that are like can go and do, just listen, learn to go back into the traditional ways of just sitting like Buddha under a tree or being a shaman, or just like we did a retreat and a workshop, and we didn't have a schedule, but we were always working on ourselves and giving talks and medicine wheel stuff, and, right? Just spending time. We spent time with wolves. We went for walks. We sat around the campfire and created spaces where we were not engaged, but we were more just receiving. Like I took my nephew fishing one day in winter in Georgia. No fish. Didn't tell me that. Right? But we had a great. He'll never forget. He still talks about it. Fish. I was into it. Well, surface fish. They dive deep. You can catch 70 pounds something, walleye, whatever you have in Georgia, striped bass or whatever, but deeper. But we spent those 2-3 hours fantastic. You know? Took my catapult out. 8-year-old boy, 9-year-old boy, great time.